All right, this is a video review of Generation Select Star Convoy. Showed up from TF Source the other day, and he's pretty cool. I wasn't sure how I wanted him, and then everybody got him in hand and started showing pictures of him, and I'm like, I kind of want that toy, especially for the smaller Prime here, which we'll get to, or smaller Convoy in a moment. You'll notice the background is a kind of retro from when I'm over at the other studios today, working the boards and producing some of the Richmond Folk Festival that's going on this weekend. So I figured while I had some downtime, why not shoot these not at 3 a.m. With a little bit of a retro look, because this is where I used to work overnights for a long time. But anyway, here he is. He's Star Convoy. And we're mostly going to focus on the cab here, because until we get to the larger mode, the trailer itself, aside from the fact that you can see the different Autobot symbols up here, really isn't too physically different from the Power of the Primes Optimus. The stickers here are a little shinier, and that you put them on yourself, so there's no chance of things being rotated like some of them were, but also you have to put them on yourself, and they're thin foil stickers. But yeah, so the trailer's more or less the same. There is like the painted rims and such, and some stuff in here. But again, that comes to transformation, which we'll get into. I will say this right here, the way this is stored, there's a way to flip this piece, and we'll talk about that when we get to the transformation. It's not as difficult as I was worried it was going to be, but this red piece and this gold piece you can flip to make it a little bit more secure in robot mode, because some people have had issues with it being floppy. We'll talk about that in a minute. Right now, let's just look at the cab, and here's a quick comparison with the Power of the Primes cab. And from the front, not a whole lot of difference. The transformation scheme is essentially the same. There's not a whole lot of differences. Some of the pieces are different. Like you'll notice some different molding here back on the trailer. Instead of these tabs pegging into the chest plate on Orion packs, they actually come up and clip onto the side of the chest plate here, which makes it a little bit more secure. You can see it's a little bit more squared off because we're getting a smaller Convoy here versus an Orion pack, so you don't need some of the round curviness. It's still an awkward truck mode because of how it transforms. It's a little awkward, but because of the new Convoy pieces, it's a little more squared off, a little more traditionally Optimus Prime cab looking, without these weird kind of bulbous humps from Orion Pax's shoulders. But you can see the transformation. Also, what's neat is like his antenna have actually a space in the legs to slide into. But essentially the same basic robot. Now he does come with a silver matrix instead of the Power of the Primes matrix. It looks like you can fit either one in there. The inside of the cab is the same. The matrix is molded a little differently, and we'll see why here in a moment. We're going to go ahead and pop this up, but this is just a solid chrome silver matrix in here. We'll go ahead and he's actually got a little tab here on the side to help you get it out, which is nice, although now I've flung it all over the floor. We'll go ahead and close that back up. And look at the cab. We'll set, what's his name, Orion Pax off to the side here and focus on Convoy. So we'll take him here, and like I said, transformation essentially unchanged. We want to flip the wheels up here and pull this whole thing around and form the bigger chest for the larger robot here on the back of Convoy. And then we just lift the head up, or bring the arms out to the side here. You can see the Star Convoy head inside there, which we'll see in a minute. It's a really nice head sculpt. I like it a lot. Fold this up, fold the Convoy head up, and tab it into place. Bring the legs down. Rotate him around so the gray is on the front. Flip out his feet. You might hear some folk festival music here in the background. I'll take care of that here in a second. Bring those down. Rotate the arms around here and flip out of the hand. And there is Convoy. And I really dig this design. Like, go ahead, won't pull the whole gun out, but we'll take the small rifle off of the gun, the small gun, and give it to him here. But I really like this smaller Prime. It looks great. He's kind of squarish and cartoony. I feel like he's got the yellow eyes. He has a really nice Action Master Optimus vibe to him, which is cool. I actually did, because they had 5mm ports in his hands, I did order, and you'll see some pictures of this on my Twitter when they come in. I did get the fairly cheaply got a set of the orange guns from Action Master Prime. So he's gonna, when he's in this smaller mode, I'm gonna give him that orange rifle from Action Master Prime because I really love the look of this guy. Same posability as before. He's got a ball joint at the head. He's got ball joints at the shoulders, bicep swivel, dual hinge elbows, so you can get a lot of nice posability out of the arms. He's got rotating hips forward and back, side to side, thigh swivel, knees. No real foot articulation aside from that toe, but a nice little Prime or Convoy. I keep saying Prime, and I really should be Convoy because Star Convoy did not come out over here in the States. But anyway, nice little robot. And then to go on to, before we go on, there he is with Orion packs, just to show you how the two compare to each other. I really love the Power of the Prime concept of taking them from their original forms, him and Rodimus, and evolving them into, and even Optimus Primal, evolving them into their ultimate forms, Orion Pax and Optimus Prime. But it also works really well as a small convoy into the Star Convoy body. Now, the Star Convoy body does, like, they didn't remold any of the windows here on the cab, so it looks kind of like Optimus Prime with some shiny gold bits and some extra guns. But still a neat concept, and like I said, worth it just for this small convoy alone. Now, there are a few bits, like his legs, that are a little looser than they were on Orion Pax Power of the Primes Optimus. It may just be the new molding, because again, the thighs and the legs are all new. At least the lower legs are. But still solid enough that it is quite enjoyable. Like, I don't have any major stability issues with him. To go ahead and transform him into his full Star Convoy mode, we'll go ahead and pull the gun out of his hand. And again, it's essentially the same. Fold the chest down. Turn his head around so when you fold it up, it's not looking straight out of his back. But then flip his head up like that. Fold his head in. Because see, if you had it turned around the other way, you just have a small convoy staring out of this hole here. Plug that in, fold up his arms. Tab these up into here. I will say, when I was talking about looseness, yeah, see that hip likes to pop off. Tabbing into the like some of the features, like I feel like the legs tab in more securely here than they did on Optimus Prime and Orion. They just don't pop out as much. It's easy. You can get them out if you knock them around, but they don't knock out just as easily as the old one did. Sorry, had a bit of a thing. But there is the torso mode. You can see there's the new head, and we'll show that off in the body. But yeah. And we'll set him off to the side. Onto the trailer, which for the most part, again, is the same. We'll go ahead and just kind of prise apart just enough to get this part of the rifle out, since it's pegged in there on his hands. And then plug that back together. Set that off to the side. So open up these panels here, and here, and here, and here. And then you can start pulling this all apart. So open up his legs here. Lift these panels up. Flip his arms out to the side, and you see as his arms come out, he's got an extra little bit up here with these turrets on his shoulders, which we'll discuss momentarily. Fold this in half. Well, okay. That was an issue with the old ones, too. But some of the panels like to pop off because they're not pinned. It would have been nice if they had pinned these things, but fold those around. Actually, it helps if you open this up a little bit because then you're not getting any conflicts. That was partially my fault. Straighten up the legs, or untab them here, and straighten them out. Bring the foot down and around until it locks into place. And fold the panel around and tab it in back here. Same over here. And stand him up. We're going to lift the camera up here in a second. So lift the camera up to the torso. And now he's got this star piece that needs to come out. And that works by kind of fold it down, push this red piece out and through, and you'll have just enough clearance to flip this out. Now, there is some tabs on here that make it a little thicker that cause it to kind of lock into certain positions, but it also makes it easier for it to pop apart. And somebody on TFW posted that this red piece, if you flip it, this is how it's supposed to be. So when it's forward, you're seeing the hollow bits. If you flip it, it holds everything in place a little bit more securely in combine mode, as well as makes it easier to kind of store and stay up here in vehicle mode. Go ahead and flip that forward while we're at it. And all you have to do is, you can see it's just friction popped in here. So if you take this and you just kind of pop it out gently, you can then very gently, and be careful, like get behind it, you can kind of pry this out. It's soft enough that you can pry it out. Pop this piece out, flip the red piece so it's this way, and then snap this back into place. And this is where you want to be careful, but snap it back into place on the torso, and then you're good to go. It's actually, as long as you're careful, and they don't grab this by up here, because this is molded out of the clear, transparent blue plastic. But if you're real careful, you can do that. If it breaks, like I said, you're doing this at your own risk. It is possible to break that piece, but if you're slow and careful, it shouldn't be too difficult. But if you break it, don't come out and say, peaugh told me to do this. I'm not. It's only if you prefer it, if you're having issues. But bring the arms around like that. Fold these panels up just like before. Just that, fold down, and make sure to snap that panel with the gun into the arm. So bring it back around, and now you've got the core body more or less done. Take the torso and push it all the way into place. Now here's where you may have some issues with the star piece, because if it's popping out on you, again, try flipping that piece first. But one, I always find for some reason my left side, or I guess my right shoulder, doesn't always click in on the way, so I always come back here and push a little bit on the right side of him to make sure that pops into place. That's going to help this lock into place better. And just keep some gentle pressure on the back of the robot as you fold this up and tab it into place. Make sure it goes under the ridge here, and it should hold into place fairly securely. A lot of people are having issues when this piece is flipped, the pressure of wanting to pop it out makes it really hard to lock it in place, and it pops out very, very easily, whereas with this flipped, it tends to lock in a little better. But there is his cool robot mode. He's got the shoulder turrets, which can raise up and down and rotate. He's got the cool shiny head, which again, it's on a ball joint, but the up to down doesn't work so great just due to the sculpt of it, but he can turn side to side. All the same poseability. He's kind of falling backwards here, which is the first time I've really had an issue with that, and it may just be because I've got the legs positioned weird. But same rotating shoulders, bicep swivel, slightly over 90-degree arms, no waist swivel, but the ratchet hips, thigh swivel. Basically, if you have, there we go. If you have Power of the Primes Optimus, you know what you're getting here. There's nothing, aside from these gun turrets, there's no new articulation points. He does have the gray hands. I may paint them like I did with my Power of the Primes Optimus, because since I have that paint. He holds the rifle. The Matrix, which we took out earlier, is designed in such a way that you can plug it. I guess it's supposed to be a power upgrade blast for the rifle, which I don't think is how the Matrix works, and it looks a little silly. But if you want to give him an upgraded Matrix rifle, you can. And we'll just go ahead and put it in there like that. Personally, I just like to leave the Matrix in the chest and give him his regular rifle, but up to you. And there he is. Let's get these guns off. See if we can get his whole body in. Oh, we just did it. Okay. I'm going to bring it down just a smidge, and there's his whole body. Because, of course, we're going to bring in Power of the Primes Optimus. And you can see I painted his hands blue. I have that painted home. It matches close enough to the blue on the toy already. I may do that on Star Convoy as well. We'll see. But there's a difference. And like I said, Star Convoy, between the head, the chest crest, and the shoulder guns, and some of the remolding on the legs and the yellow details, and even the headlamps here on his body, they do look distinct from each other. Like, you can still tell they're the same base mold. Like, it's not as big of a variance between robot modes as original Optimus Prime and the original G1 Star Convoy, but it's different enough that it's worth getting. Like I said, I love it just for the small convoy robot that comes with him, which again you could stick in here. I don't know how, actually. I'm not sure how the reds match up, but if you want to have a bigger Optimus, go ahead. I'm not gonna, just real quick. I'm not gonna swap both of them, but I guess then you'd have to also swap out the large Optimus head, which I'm not doing right now. But you can use them both in each body. Now, the original Star Convoy did come with a Micromaster Hot Rod, or Rodimus, or whatever you want to call him, and a Hot Rodimus. And some people have been saying, if you can find the world's smallest Transformer Hot Rod, you could put him with this, which totally would work. He'd be about this big. But if you have the Ariel Lemon's Shapeways kit for the Titan's Return Rodimus, he actually looks really good with him. Like that was the other reason that, like, one, I like the small convoy. Also, I saw him sitting on the shelf. I'm like, I bet you if I got Star Convoy, he'd go really well with him, and they do. I think they look really great together on the shelf as more of a modern pairing. So you don't have to do it, but that's how I'm going to have him displayed on the shelf. He's now going to be standing with Star Convoy. But yeah, it's a neat little set from Hasbro Pulse. Like, he's in the comic with the Seacons. I cannot wait for the Seacons. They're probably my favorite combiner team. Like I said, Menasor and Defensor were my favorites when I was playing with my friends, and like I always think of them as rivals. But I do think the Seacons are my favorite overall combiner team. I have the TFC big one. I have the Kabaya model kit. I don't currently have a G1 set of Seacons, but definitely I have all of the Generation Select ones ordered, and those will be in when they're in, and I look forward to having them. I would love to see them do that set in, or even at TFC do their set in like the Transformer Collector Club colors, that purple and orange and yellow. I know TFC has teased doing the God Neptune colors, so we'll see if they do all 6 members in that. But there is Generation Select Star Convoy. Very cool. I'm happy I have him, and there he is. Enjoy.